welcome. And this is Steve Donofrio, okay? And who's Steve? Any introduction for us will just be very little, but I'm going to tell you what I am doing here on the screen. So I'm Anu Krishna. For those of you who have been seeing me, for those of you who are watching me right now for the first time, so I am the co-founder of the Soulful Exploration, and a very warm welcome to all of you who've been watching across the world right now. So good evening to America and most parts of the world, and a very warm good morning to the ones who are joining us live from India. So thank you, each one of your eternal gratitude from the company. And I have with me Steve Donofrio, who's a strategic business associate. And we are here live today for a reason. And I have been kind of thinking, who's Steve and what is he going to talk to us about? So when I asked Steve, what is that I'm going to introduce about you? I have no idea because there is so much. And we very quickly put up something very sweet. So we can, without much ado, we can get into it. So we say 2020 was a challenge for us all of us. Many people had to put their dreams on hold. But how about you? Did your dreams get slowed down or did it stop? Well, I have some good news, says Steve. In the next few minutes, our international keynote speaker, Steve Donofrio, is going to give you some practical tools to help you turn your dreams into reality. So please join me in welcoming Steve as we talk about dream big and dare to fail. Yes, you heard us absolutely right. It is a great thing when you dare to fail. So here we are, Steve. A very, very warm welcome. Thank you.
Thank you,
There
Anu.
you are, you're live. Yes.
It's so exciting to be with you, Anu. And a good evening from America and a good morning to you guys in India. I want to tell you a story about a mountaineering team. And as the mountaineering team began to get closer and closer to the summit, the excitement began to grow. They were about 10 steps away and the countdown began. 10. And it took a few steps closer and they were getting more anxious and excited. A few more steps, 5,
Okay.
4, 3, and then it was 2-1 summit, and everyone began to cheer. The entire team was so happy, but no one was more happy than their team leader, Mr. Norman Vaughn. See, Mr. Norman Vaughn had been working on this trip for a long time. This was a accumulation of many trials and errors and a lot of planning, and he was so excited. He was smart. He brought the National Geographic with him that day, that week, that whatever long it took him to get there. And the cameraman pulls out his camera and he says, "Norman, do you have a message for us? Now that you're on top of this mountain, what do you have to say?" And Norman says, "Yes, I have a message." He came up and he got in front of that camera and he looked into the camera and he said, "All right, so before we start, I want to share with you, I know what you're thinking. You're like, 'What, Steve, what are you doing to me? How dare you stop?' It's like going to commercial break right before the moment in your favorite TV show and they're about to do something special and they stop and go to commercial break. Don't you hate that? I know you're probably like really mad at me right now because you want the message, but I'm sorry. That's not a commercial. So there's the good news. But this message will make more story when you understand and make a lot more sense when you get the backstory. See, Norman Vaughn that day ascended 3,000 meters right before his birthday, because this was a birthday present to himself to climb this mountain. Norman Vaughn was about to turn 89 years of age. Yeah, you heard me, 89 years of age, he climbed a mountain. But see, it wasn't just any mountain. Norman Vaughn thought to himself, you know what I want to do for my birthday? I want to climb Vaughn Mountain. My name's Norman Vaughn. I should climb something called Vaughn Mountain. But this gets even cooler. It wasn't just a mountain with his name. It was actually his mountain. You see, Norman Vaughn, the young Norman Vaughn, was part of Sir Admiral Byrd's exploration to the South Pole, Antarctica. He was a sled dog captain, a map maker. And one day down there, I can imagine Admiral Byrd looking at him and saying, man, you're doing a great job, Norm. See that mountain over there? Let's call that Vaughn Mountain. And so it became Vaughn Mountain. So at age 89, Norman Vaughn ascended Vaughn Mountain. Now, when he's up on top of that mountain, let's go back to the top of that mountain. Could you imagine being the most hostile environment at age 89 years of age? He gets out there and he says this to the camera. He says, I want everyone, young and old, to dream big and dare to fail. I want everyone to dream big and dare to fail. That's what we're talking about today. See, Norman Vaughn took a team at age 89 and ascended to the mountain. Norman Vaughn dared to fail. How about you? What are your dreams? Do you have them anymore? Are you still excited? I love dreams. I really do. I get really excited about dreams. And sometimes I worry that we live in a society where we stop dreaming. Everything's done for us, right? Technology does things for us. Even our toys for our children tell us what to do. We don't do a lot of creativity these days. But there's still dreams are important. And I know you're probably thinking to yourself, but Steve, you know what? I'm getting older and I don't have time to dream. I have to do my job. I have to do my work. And I'm past the age. Or maybe you're like me and you're like, hey, Steve, dreams are great, but I'm a realist. I like to get real with life. You know, I do too. I'm a realist too. That's what we're going to talk about, being real with your dreams. REAL. It's just an acronym. We're going to use it to remember a few things today. So if you have got something to write with in front of you, if you're at home where you can write, you might want to write this down. If not, come back to it later and listen to it again. I'm going to talk about getting real with your dreams just for a few minutes. R is about responsibility. Personal responsibility. The coolest thing in the world to understand is your life and your current situation is your fault. Oh, that's a terrible way to say that, isn't it? Yeah. See, everyone's life is self-made. As the late, great success teacher, Earl Nightingale, once said, everyone's life is self-made, but only the rich will admit it. Here's what I'd like you to do. One of the things that I'd like you to take responsibility for is this. I'd like you to take responsibility and admit, for every problem and every roadblock you face, there's a solution. I want you to admit there's a solution to every problem you face in life. What happens when you do that? See, when you start admitting there's a solution to every problem in life, you begin to take power and control back. So oftentimes we give away our power to problems. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have problems. In fact, I want you to acknowledge problems exist. It's very important to list out the roadblocks and the problems, because if you just say, oh, there's nothing out there, that's not even realistic. We're talking about being real, aren't we? But when you begin to say, there's a solution to every problem, you begin to take that power back. And here's why. When you say, I can't because I don't have enough money, or I don't have the right education, or whatever it may be, you give the power to the problem. You become hopeless. Oh, I can't because. But when you say there's a problem, now I have a solution. When you say, I'm taking responsibility, I admit there's a solution to not having enough money. There's a solution to this. There's a solution to this. Now we begin to have hope. We begin to get encouraged. We can get creative and get excited about, okay, if there's a solution to it, what's that solution going to be? How do I solve that problem? And now our creativity goes. Now we start thinking and trying new ideas. And that's where the excitement comes from. So today, if you want to, here's what I'd like you to do. Write down a few of your dreams and then write down the roadblocks. What's stopping you from getting there? And then for every roadblock that exists, I want you to write this down. There's a solution to, and then list the roadblock. There's a solution to. As soon as you do that, you open up your mind, you open up your heart, and now you take power back. And then you can begin to take action. Here's something very important you need to understand. If you want your dream to become a reality, mad action will get you mad results. Crazy, wild, big action gets you big results. Oh, I didn't say success, did I? No, I said big results. The results might be disastrous. You might fail miserably. If we went back to the mountain where Norman hung out and gave our message, you would learn that a year before that moment, he actually failed. They had a big accident. They actually lost somebody and they had all sorts of problems and they had to do it again. See, big action doesn't always equal success, but you'll learn your lesson. So R is about taking responsibility, which leads us to E. What happens when things don't go our way? Well, E is about expecting failure and setback and using it to grow. I want you to expect failure. I want you to expect setbacks. Not in a negative way, not like, oh no, I'm going to fail. I can't do it. I give up. I quit. No, it's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about saying, if I try hard, it might not work the first time. But I want you to use it to grow. Think about a little infant or a baby. You ever seen a baby walk, start to walk? Isn't that neat? The baby one day stands up and the whole body is shaking. They're like, oh no, what am I gonna do? And they fall over. And the baby goes, yeah, try this walking thing. It doesn't work. I'm done. I'm not getting up again. No, they don't do that. They try again. The little baby stands up, and this time maybe they reach out and they grab hold of something to keep that balance. They take that one step and they fall back down. And they get back up.
Wow.
Well, what's happening in that process? Let's think about that for a minute. So the baby falls down and stands back up. They fall down, they stand back up. See, the baby is getting stronger. Every time the baby stands up, muscles, tendons, ligaments, all begin to get stronger. When you fail and you fall, the process of getting back up makes you stronger. And now when the baby gets up, they reach out and they grab hold of that chair. Well, what just happened? See, the baby's getting smarter. See, when you fail, when you fall, and you get back up, not only do you get stronger, but you get smarter. And now the baby begins to walk. The baby lets go of the chair. Walks a little bit more. Pretty soon, they walk. And then we get old and we fall down. But every time failure comes, expect it in a positive way, then use it. Because when you do it, you will get stronger. You'll get smarter. And you'll grow in confidence and become better. So use failure and setback. Not just use it, but expect it. Do things that stretch you to your limits. All right, I'm going to give you an amazing quote. Then you can laugh at me later where I got it from. Here it is. And this is about moving on. It's this. If you only do what you can, you will never be more than you are right now. If you only do what you can do, you will never be more than you are right now. That's from Kung Fu Panda, the movie. My favorite movie of all time. Yes, it's a cartoon. It's still a good quote though, isn't it? We take responsibility. We admit that there's a solution to every problem we face. Then we take mad action, but we expect failure and setback, but we use it to grow. A is about accurate thinking and attitude. What is accurate thinking? Accurate thinking says, I don't place personal opinion on fact. going to share with you a personal story. It's a little embarrassing for me, but the reality is what it is. When I lived in Japan for 15 years and I had a business and I was very happy. In fact, I was really proud of my business until everything fell apart and I lost it.
Wow.
And when I lost it, my self-talk went like this. I knew I shouldn't have started a business. I wasn't smart enough. I lost my business. I'm a failure. I lost my house because my business went under. I had to sell my house to get out of debt. I failed myself. I failed my family. I am a failure. See, that was where I was. That was where my brain was, my heart was. Part of this talk today is coming from that reality of that moment, because what I did was I placed opinion on the fact. The fact was I lost the business. That's a fact. The I'm a failure part,
That's your self-talk, right?
that's an opinion.
Yep.
And that's what we need to change. Accurate thinking says acknowledge the reality, but then don't take things personally. And that's one of the greatest things about what we do here at the Soulful Expression is we help people find the reality in their situation and move forward to become not just inspiring, but better. So as we take responsibility and we admit there's a problem, we expect failure and setback and we're growing, and now we put on accurate thinking. But attitude is also important. We want to make sure we're talking about positivity. And I don't mean, hey, everything's okay. Remember, I said we're going to look at problems. We're going to be real.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is preparing your mind to receive the good things around you. Our neuroscience folks tell us all the time that the reticular activating system is a powerful filter. And the more we think about something, the more that we see it, because our subconscious minds allows us to see that. You ever buy a new car? For those in America, for anybody, you ever buy a new car and you think, you know what, my new blue car is kind of neat and no one else has one of my cool cars. You buy your car and you're so excited. Next thing you know, everyone has copied you. You're like, man, what are you guys doing? You copied me. Hey, here's the good news. They didn't actually copy you. You just never noticed it. But when you made an emotional connection to your new blue car, you allowed your reticular activating system, the RAS filter, to release that. Every time you saw it, it came to you. So when you begin to practice proactive positivity, you begin to look for and see new and more opportunities. So here's what proactive positivity looks like. Every morning when you wake up, here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to make a list, just 4 or 5 things. Here's what you're going to write down. Today is going to be a good day because, and you're going to start the day telling yourself why the day is going to be a good day. Today's going to be a good day because I'm going to get the phone calls that I need to get, because I'm going to be productive. Whatever those reasons are, the more specific, the better. Today's going to be a good day because, and you go through and have your day. You'll probably do more, but here's what I want you to do now. At night when you go to bed, you get your list out and you write this. Look in a mirror if you want to say it, or you can write it, whatever's best for you, whatever's comfortable for you. I want you to say this. Today was a good day because.
Beautiful.
Today was a good day because. Call it practicing proactive positivity. It's the idea of being grateful for the things you've accomplished and the people you met. Attitude and accurate thinking have value to you. Attitude and accurate thinking make a difference. So take responsibility and admit there's a problem to every one of your solutions. Expect that failure and setback. And have accurate thinking. L is about lifestyle alignment. See, you must align your lifestyle with your dreams. As a personal trainer, I used to help people get in shape and meet their goals. And someone came into my room one day and they said, hey, Steve, I need your help. I got to lose weight and I want to get in shape and I want to do this. And I said, that's great. That's great. I said, tell me about what it is you eat. And they said, wait, Steve, wait, stop. Steve, here's the thing. I don't want to stop drinking my diet soda or that. And I said, that's fine. You don't have to stop drinking diet soda. They said, okay, good. And I said, well, let's talk about some other things. And what do you, well, Steve, wait a minute. I don't want to like stop eating my donuts and doing those other things. And I said, that's fine. And I said, well, let's talk about exercise.
Mhm.
So you want to lose this much weight? How much time do you come to the gym? Fine, Steve, I'm going to come to the gym, but I don't want to sweat. And I'm like, well, what part of your lifestyle do you want to change? I don't want to change anything in my life. I just want you to help me lose weight. Oh, that's easy to do. It's impossible. Your lifestyle must be in alignment with the dream you have, the life you want to live. You don't need radical change, but it does have to line up. And if you're not sure how to do that, that's where moments of self-reflection come in. That's where the inner work begins. How do I begin to align my heart and my mind? That sacred space, the
Right.
14 inches of sacred space. I'm not sure what that is in centimeters. I can't remember. Between head and heart. That sacred space between saying, hey, what I want, what do I feel?
Mhm.
A lot of people talk about balancing those two things. And Anu, you talk a lot about the word integration.
Yes.
And I take that with me everywhere, because some people say we have to have a balance between what we think and what we feel. No, we don't. We have to integrate. We have to integrate our head and our heart. See, our
Integrate.
lifestyle must be in alignment with our dreams and realities.
Right.
You can get the dreams you want. You can accomplish whatever you want to accomplish when you start getting real with your dreams. I want
Wow.
us to go back to the mountaintop for a minute. Remember Norman
Mhm.
Vaughn? Let's go back to that moment and remember the message. I want everyone, young and old, to dream big and dare to fail. At this very moment in time, you have the opportunity to not only change your life,
Beautiful.
but someone else's as well. Thank you.
Wow. Steve, I mean, we do not want to hear you stop right now because there's so much that we can talk about, right? I remember, there was something that I'd like to share. Okay, when we talk about dreams, people talk about chasing dreams. I, for one, tell people, live your dreams, don't chase them, because when you chase something, naturally that is moving away from you. So we are talking about living those dreams every moment. And when I pull off, right at the beginning when you started off and you were talking about actually, I still remember the failing. I mean, it's like, what are we giving power to? Are we giving power to our dreams or the doubts? Are we focusing more on the failure? Or is it that I'm going to be living on, more power to my dreams? It's something that needs to, yes, I understand that most often when I say we, I have done that, Steve. Before taking a big step, I've thought about, should I not? What if I fail? Uh, and the self-talk, like you said, the self-talk, when you lost your business, I'm sure you thought about all the things. The self-talk is so unresourceful, and we are not, quality of our thoughts is the way we are actually going to move ahead in life. So I've had those moments where I want to dream big, I want to live it, but then there's something, there's this voice, I call it the doubter. It's sitting there, it's that inner critic waiting to say, hey, do you really want to do this? And then all the past conditioning comes back and things like that. But I think, honestly, like you mentioned, the example of the baby. The baby is not conditioned by anybody, not the environment, not anybody, to actually say, hey, you fell down now, so I don't think you can do it. You can't. Nobody's there. And the baby possibly doesn't even understand that language of you can't. Gets up because it's more in connection with itself or with himself or herself, and gets up and says, This is my goal. I'm going to go ahead and anyway do it. So yeah, that's a nice thing. I mean, Steve, you know, when you brought the example of the baby, it just puts things into perspective, because everyone across the world has been a baby sometime or is raising a baby and knows that a baby never stops. So I'm gonna just, like, you know, before I pull off any questions from Facebook, I have this very interesting question. What would you tell somebody if, like somebody in his or her mid 40s or 50s, who's possibly on you know, a path where, you know, we're looking at, where am I, what am I doing, should I change my job, should I stick to what I'm doing currently, what exactly should I do? They have plans, they have, but there's nothing to execute it because of this doubter. So what would you personally, if you had something to tell them, should they move
That's,
ahead, do they have a
that's a
plan?
great question. My answer comes from a guy named Lao Tzu, a Chinese philosopher, who wrote a book called the Tao Te Ching. And he writes in there, practice, not doing. My advice to any of these people is, because I take this advice myself, is practice not doing. When action is selfless and pure, everything falls into its proper place.
Oh, wow.
And so the idea of not doing is finding that time, finding that space for yourself where you can be calm for a moment. It's emptying oneself and allowing your purpose to come forth.
Mhm.
It's allowing you to recenter, to reconnect with what your values truly are. Practice not doing. Empty yourself of all the stuff, all the busyness, all the expectations, and ask yourself, what can I do?
Mm,
And who am I?
mm.
Practice not doing.
Practice not doing is something, Steve, which in a very fast-paced world, if you were to allow me to say this, not everybody understands. I don't understand that myself, because we can have a tendency to be very, very left brain. We want to execute, we want to do that because that has become a measure of success, achievement, progress. And I do understand we need that part of our brain to actually make us do things. When you say practice not doing, how would you mean? How would you put that into the context of the current scenario? And if you could just pull out a person and probably tell people, how do we practice not doing and not get flustered about it? Because not doing can fluster us, right?
Oh, it's probably for type A people like myself, or really go-getter people, not doing may be one of the most stressful activities you'll ever do at the beginning.
Right.
But as time goes, as you take baby steps
Mm-hmm.
and I would say, I tried yoga once,
Mm-hmm.
and this like lay on your back shavasana pose is one of this, like,
Mm-hmm.
you just lay down, and in yoga, that's pretty important piece of the end of the practice. And I remember getting into my first time, and they said, okay, we're going to do this. And I laid there, I'm like, I'm not moving. And I began to get stressed because I'm like, what am I supposed to do? They said, just sit there. I said, we're in exercise class. I can't. And the instructor was like, no, this isn't exercise. This is yoga. It's very different. But practicing not doing doesn't mean not physically laying still all the time. It means allowing your mind to calm itself.
That is so beautiful.
Trusting yourself that you don't have to have all the answers right this second, and allowing that integration between heart and head to find a place. Practicing not doing, sometimes for me, it happens at night before bed. I have a practice of now intentionally shutting all of my electronics off. I don't answer phone calls. I don't look at emails. I don't touch anything. I
Mm-hmm.
put a book on with some
Mm-hmm.
background music, and I lay in bed and I listen and I calm.
Wow. And
And
does
that's
that.
what I do. And that
Wow.
helps me find a little balance.
So yes, when you said it's the fine what to say. Here I'm going to use the word balance because we are talking about that. It's about doing. When do you do? When do you allow? When do you do and allow as such, right? And so we have somebody here, I guess, Varsha, who has said balance versus integrate the mind and the heart makes a difference. If Steve, I were to pull this, okay, in the form of a question, okay, does this make balance versus integrate mind and the heart when she says makes a difference? And if we were to pull it into the context that we're speaking with is dream big, dare to fail. How would this help? A balance versus integrate. When can we start to realize that integration is something between the mind and the heart? And how does that associate with our dream big?
We talked about aligning our lifestyle, but the only thing we have to align to is our values. If my dream isn't truly in line with my values, excuse me, I won't succeed. But sometimes my values aren't deeply in my heart. They're what society says should value: busyness. Since when does not sleeping is people are like, I don't sleep, or I get 2 hours of sleep a night because I'm doing so many things. When did that become a badge of honor?
Right.
When did being so busy that we don't have time for relationships become a good thing?
Mhm.
And you can't have a dream if it's not in deep alignment with your values. Let's say you're like, I dream to be rich, but what if really deep down you want to be philanthropic? What if deep down you want to change the world? When you practice the art of doing nothing and integrating head and heart, it's finding that alignment
Wow.
of who you are. When you find who you are, you discover your dreams.
Mm.
That's the coolest thing, is that when you rediscover your own values, you'll rediscover new dreams. And
That
now it's
is
time to go get them.
That is so beautiful, even as you say it, because yes, there might be a constant drift within you when you're not aligned to your own value system, right? I mean, we could choose to follow a path that somebody has chosen for us, or because it simply validates us from the external world. But if it's not aligned with what is very core, very authentic to us, we are just going to keep meandering, and then you start probably uh, judging yourself and saying, hey, you know what, I tried everything and look, I failed. But that's not the thing. You've not taken a step back to take that moment to pause, to observe and say, okay, maybe there's something else going on within me that I haven't noticed. And that could be very well that my dreams are not in tune or are not aligned with my values. And that's how I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, it is necessary for us to take that step back, to allow, to pause, to reflect, and truly listen to your inner voice. What is it saying? What is it telling us? Am I in tune? Am I in alignment with my values? Are the dreams that I've put out there actually even something that I want to? So that's very beautiful. And I think we have someone else who has also said, okay, align lifestyle with your dreams. Yes, that is something that you've mentioned, I think, 3 times over. And then we have, in fact, DC saying, so true, our lifestyle is exactly the same as what our dream is. I guess what we are also thinking of is, oh yes, Gina's here saying, observing is so important. Yes, thank you so much, Gina, for that. Any more questions, just keep dropping them. So Steve will take it and I will be very, we want more value out of what Steve has already spoken, get even deeper. There's one more thing, Steve, that I was, looking at, you were, I think, yes. Okay, yes, this is something, even as you were saying, there was part of me was, it's a little hard. When you say expect failures, it's not easy for anyone to do that, right? Because I'm very unsure about the education system across the world. But in India, pardon me, although education is not taking a jab at any one of you, but we are conditioned to succeed all the time. We are graded for what we bring, in an answer sheet, in whatever we answer in class. So we have more or less been said, you answer. We ask you a question, you answer. The rest of the class claps for you. That's your validation. That's what it is. That is success. That is your achievement. That is your badge of honor. So when we are conditioned from a very young age towards success, nobody teaches us that it is okay to fail. So what would you, as a message for just everybody, not just the educationists, not just entrepreneurs, just about anybody, when you say expect failures slash setbacks, how do you mean? How do we really even do it? It is hard. It is a hard
Yeah.
concept, right?
We look at it like a scientist would. One of my coaches said this, and it's not new. It's just I remember it, and he tells it, and parents get upset. And he said, "At this team, we never lose, and we never tolerate losing." And all the parents were like, "But wait, sometimes we lose in life." And he says, "No, we never do. We win or we learn. We never take a loss."
Never take it.
And scientists are the same way, right? They do an experiment and the experiment fails miserably. They don't say, "Oh no, I failed." They say, "Okay, this test didn't work." If you reframe failure as it was just another test or it was just another try, then it doesn't, you don't take that goes back to accurate thinking, right? We don't put personal. I didn't fail. The plan was bad, or this time it didn't work, but it wasn't me. Maybe I need a new strategy. Maybe it was a bad execution of the strategy. There's a lot of things to look at without internalizing that happened. If we internalize an action or a plan and it fails and we internalize it, then we begin to feel bad. We begin to feel down. But if we say, okay, yeah, that was a terrible idea. It's just so let's try a new idea. Let's try something new. What did we learn from what just happened? If you failed a test and you didn't get the grades you wanted, you can say, "I am bored, I'm not smart," or you can say, "Well, why? Did I put the proper study time into it? Were my study habits right? What did I miss along the way? Was one of my study strategies a good one or a bad one? Or maybe I just didn't try hard enough. Or I tried really hard, I didn't get this time, I'll get it next time." There's a lot of things to do beside internalizing things.
Right. And then that's how we become useful, because when we dissociate ourselves from the problem at hand or the situation at hand, we are able to put things into a perspective. And I like the word that you use, reframing, rather than saying, "I am a loser." It would be more useful people to actually look at it and actually say, "My business failed," or let's say the business failed. Something happened, let's figure out. Because the minute you associate and say, "I am," and then you're caught up in your own world, then you're clouded with the entire thing. So yes, again, it's about, like, again, to pull off and, kind of connect with what Steve said. You allow. Sometimes allowing helps you a lot of reflection time, just like the corona did for many of us. At least I'll speak for myself. It gave me the time to reflect. I was doing things, and when you do things repeatedly the same way, you cannot expect a different result, right? So I think I needed that pause to see, okay, now I'm, expecting the same thing. And then I'm going to blame myself for it. I'm going to pin myself down and say, okay, look, you didn't do things right. So it helped me look at things at probably a bird's eye view. And then I started looking at all the things that I needed to change. It became more useful. My state of mind started to become more useful. And thank you. I mean, that was Steve. That was brilliant, because, when he was talking about expect failures, it was somewhere I was like, mm-mm. I know many of us would have thought about, I don't want to fail, because that's how we're conditioned. And it's something like, when you were even speaking about the RAS, right, reticular activating system, what we focus on every day magnifies. It's almost like, you have a mole on your hand. You take a magnifying glass and look at it and say, "Oh my God, it's so ugly." Or you pull it off and say, "Okay, that's different. That's very unique to me. It's very different," right? So yes, I know there's so much to talk about RAS, and there's so much to talk about what Steve was saying. Steve, in fact, I'm thinking, and many people will, I think, even in the comment section, let me look at it. Oh, somebody, Jeshri said, "Steve, if every day what you do, one second, what you do, you don't enjoy, How do you pause to discover your purpose? Do you slow down daily or take a break from work helps you discover? What do you advise is what Jayashree tells us. Do you want me to repeat that, Steve?
No, I think, yeah, if what you do you don't enjoy. Now, the question, again, we have to look at reality, right? We have to be real. Meaning, is that thing you're doing right now necessary for life? Meaning, does it pay the bills? Now, you might want to ask yourself, why don't I enjoy it? What about it don't I enjoy? Zig Ziglar gives a great story and he gives some good advice. The thing you're doing every day that you don't enjoy, what do you like about it?
Right.
Make a list. Are you looking at that thing correctly? Internalize that for a minute. What about it's that terrible? Or what about your attitude toward that thing is terrible? And they're very different. Could you find something positive about what you're doing as you work toward getting out of it to something else? If you don't like it, why don't you like it? And then what could you change? My first advice is start with writing down a list of all the good things about what you do right now. And begin to intentionally find something positive. It doesn't mean stay there forever. It just means for the time being, find everything that's positive about it. Maybe they pay you good. Maybe it's good insurance or good security if it's a job. Then you ask yourself, okay, I can tolerate it. But the next question is, what do I really want to be doing? And now that's your dream. How do we get there? What are the problems keeping you from moving it? Well, let's take let's get real, right? Let's get real. Let's take responsibility and admit there's a solution to the roadblocks. Right. Let's start making some action. Let's make sure we have accurate thinking and attitude, and let's align things up. Step one, if you're in a position, in a job, in a situation you hate, look for something positive in that situation to help you tolerate it or help you get better at it. Then divine a plan to get out. But I want to say this, especially here in America, we are so independent minded. Me, I can do it. I'm gonna push through by myself. The greatest successes, the greatest innovations, the greatest things will be a collaborative event. You need other people.
Wow.
You need others. Connect with others. Break through some paradigms. I want to talk about sometimes you just need help. And sometimes you may not agree with every little thing, but reach out to other people. Get some recreation in. And what I mean by recreation is time to do some recreation. Recreation really means recreation, doesn't it? When you step aside and break free and recreate. Wow. This is what the soulful exploration really is passionate. I like is the retreat times, Anu, the times where we go to a place where others help us, where we connect with a community and we take a moment to practice not doing.
Not doing.
We
I like that.
Take a moment to reconnect with ourselves.
So beautiful.
And those are what these retreats really become powerful tools. Community connection, interconnection.
Absolutely.
We
Collaboration.
walk away new, don't we?
Completely. We have time for another 2 questions here. Navina asks, Steve, how do you overcome the hurdles you face in fulfilling your dreams? And she also asks, how do you overcome the beliefs which are not working for you? So in something in relation to probably self-talk and maybe the deep-seated conditioning, the deep-seated beliefs that are cemented into us. So she asks, how do you remove this when it's acting as an obstacle in front of your dreams?
For me personally, and I'll be honest, I still struggle. I still struggle. I was asked to speak to a group of people and most of them are PhDs. And I'm like, boy, did you pick the wrong person. the dumbest guy in the room. How am I supposed to inspire you? And I still struggle daily with some of these things as well. And so how do I do it? As I just mentioned, I find people to be accountable to intentionally. And I find people to help me just feel good about myself. Not that I need the external validation, but when I find that place to say, if I have so much, I'll just talk to somebody and say, hey, let's chat. And I also intentionally listen when people say good things. Start believing the good people tell you and repeating that. And start deleting the bad things from your own brain. Fill yourself up with good. Allow people to be nice to you. I talk about the circle of kindness, and that so often we like to give to other people, but that only half the part. If we want to complete the circle of kindness, we have to learn to receive kindness as well.
Oh, yes.
The
Oh,
things I
yes.
do is I allow people to be nice to me.
So yes,
Because
if you want to allow Steve to be nice to you, okay? You want to receive that. And Steve is going to be one of our brilliant, brilliant speakers on the 19th and 20th of March. He's dealing with an amazing topic, which is literally rewrite your story. And I like to give this jargon here. It's how do you rewrite your narrative arc that you've been living that life for such a long time, and all your belief systems, your obstacles start to come from there. So those of you who like this, Steve is going to be back, and it's going to be even more powerful. Yes, Steve? And here we talk about the program, Find the New You. It's a virtual wellness retreat. And why virtual? Because the pandemic is right now still on. So we definitely propose to take it offline very soon. But till then, yes, you're going to have those of you who love Steve, and we've got a lineup of beautiful speakers, beautiful artists, beautiful people who've understood that self-mastery is the first step towards creating anything big in your life. It starts with you. And if at this very moment, so it's 19th and 20th, do visit our website. We've been posting a lot of links for you to go ahead and reserve your space. So if you want Steve to literally, again, tell you more, speak to you, then come and join us. And I think, Steve, there's one last question. I think people are just like, yeah. Okay, Navina says, thank you so much, Steve, and give us, yes, she says about receiving and reaching out to people. We have one question which says, what's the worst that will happen if we keep going and don't reach our goal?
what's the worst that will happen?
Yeah.
The worst that will happen is that you will never be the person you were meant to be, and that the world will miss out on you. There's a South African philosophy called Ubuntu. It means I am because we are. You see, I will never be fully me until you are fully you. I can never be fully fulfilled. I will never be fully anything until you yourself are fully you. See, I need you to be the very best you can be. Then I can be the very best I can be. We are together. We are a set. We are a team. And when we figure that out, we can solve problems of the world. Do you want equity and equality for women and girls all over the world? Do you want to stop poverty? Do you want to shift climate change? Do you want to just wake up feeling peace and safety? It's going to take all of us working together. What's the worst thing that will happen? The worst thing that will happen is the world will miss out on you.
So
I don't want that.
no one can miss out on your greatness, your significance, your uniqueness on this planet. So make it count. The universe always holds a beautiful space for each one of us. And Steve, if you could just in about 15 seconds tell us what exactly that everyone who's watching us can expect out of the retreat. What is going to be your role there? And why are you a part of this beautiful journey with us?
All right. What can you expect? You can expect a life-changing transformation that will help you not only get to the next stages of your life, but create a better universe, so to speak, a better planet, a better world. Be part of something much bigger. Practice not doing and come join us, because we're going to do it together. And then we're going to walk on and we change the world.
Thank you so much, Steve. And it was so beautiful, not just from the point of view of, okay, saying, yes, it's nice, because yesterday I had a lot of people say, wow, international keynote speaker. I said, look beyond that, and you will see, connect with this gentleman for what he can bring into your life, what the value that he can add, his presence can, because each one of us have such beautiful experiences to share. And when we, Steve, every time that I've spoken with you, somehow for me, I associate you with the word self-mastery. And that is so, so powerful. Because remember, lovely people who are watching across the world, when you master your thoughts, when you master your own challenges, when you start to begin to reconnect with yourself, that is when your journey truly starts to begin, because then you can start to reach out to more people. You can not just, just say, okay, I'm just existing on this planet. No, then you start to become a contributor in little or larger ways. That is something that you can figure out. So absolutely, again, 19th and 20th of March, of course, it's going to be an EST time, that's Eastern Standard Time. That's the American time zone that we're talking about. India will have a different time zone, but anyone who wants to find the new you, please join us. I mean, you are going to thank yourself first. So take that first step in finding the new you. And Steve, on behalf of the Soulful Exploration and being a part of our team and adding such wonderful presence, as a strategic business associate, we couldn't have asked for anything more. The universe just heard our, a beautiful, the intent that we threw. We value every single moment that, we spent with you here. I'm sure even our, to say, our beautiful participants will. There are going to be many more questions, I'm sure, but we will bunch them up. I will send them to Steve and I will personally send them back to you. That's my promise here on live. So I can't go back on my word. So come back, join us. So from the Soulful Exploration, Steve and I, we're signing off. Thank you so much, Steve, for sitting all the way. I know it's very late for you, but it's so beautiful. Thank you for your wonderful, wonderful shining presence. And we look forward to more sessions like this with you. So if you want more, just write into us saying, yes, we want Steve back. And Steve, we're getting you back, right?
I'll be there. I'll be there at the retreat. So come join me. Come join us. Come join the community.
Okay, I think people are pouring in questions again, and we've got to I think, guys, if we do not keep time, then that's something, it's more like a discipline. We will take your questions. Oh, yes. And how could I forget? I know we have somebody who's just messaged me and says, yes, we're talking about www.thesoulfulexploration.com. Go in there, go to virtual retreats, okay, and find the first one on your left. And I'm being very specific because I know for a lot of people, it is night almost, and you might be sleepy. The first retreat, that is what we're going to be doing. Find the new you. The brochures are loaded for you in a video format. Should you have any questions, please reach out to us and we will be glad. We have a wonderful panel, like I said. Steve is going to be there and we're going to have a blend again. Steve, I'm going to use your favorite word. Blend of ancient wisdom along with mind sciences and neurosciences. Don't be intimidated by any of those words. Very simplistically, we wanted to have you to have a very experiential way of finding the new you. And that's why we've put together a lot of things. So www.thesoulfulexploration.com. And you want to be very kind to me and Steve, especially Steve. Please tell us how much this meant to you, how much value this has added, because your feedback is something that we want to take and keep improvising and keep, that is how we grow. So thank you so, so much. Love each one of you. Thank you, Steve. Yes, you had something to say? Yes?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to close up officially. However, if there's still people hanging out, I don't mind spending a few extra minutes answering questions and chatting. So we can officially close it,
Okay.
go into a pause, but I'm willing to hang out if they need us to.
I am like, okay, you've got a lot of thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve and Anu, for this enriching session. Anmol says, always a life-changing experience whenever I hear you speak. Steve, you're powerful. Thank you, Anmol, for that. There are a lot of people who are just pouring in and saying, so this is really looks like. It's very encouraging, guys, because remember, whenever you put these things down, it's very encouraging for us because we think about the topics that we want to bring for you. There may be many other things. If you want Steve, you want any one of us from the Social Exploration team to do more and different topics, please reach out, because this is the first of the masterclass series. We're going to have many, many more. And Steve, how else can I say? It's been so beautiful because you're not just a powerful speaker. You touch a chord because of the stories that you bring. And stories, believe me, guys, if you go back in time, our grandmas, at least in India for us, our grandmother's tales was something that we all grew up. It was a dose, a regular dose. It touches a part of your subconscious mind. It makes it come alive. You start associating yourself with that story. And that's where all the changes start happening. So Steve, I think we've got a lot of thank yous, and I think we're also going to be taking, if there are any more questions, guys, Steve is willing to hang out a couple of more minutes. So if there are any question, this is your time. Any more questions, guys?
Oh, I have a question.
Okay. Sorry?
I have a question.
Please go ahead.
So how long before we meet live at a retreat? That's what I'm looking forward to.
Guys, the question from Steve is, how long before he meets each one of you at the retreat? So you're gonna drop, what the answer has to be in the comment section, because Steve cannot see the comment section. How long before each one of you connect with all of us, and especially Steve right now, on the live retreat, the virtual live retreat happening on the 19th March and the 20th March. Find the new you. They are going to tell us that. Yes, we're going to. Yes. Yeah. Yes, Steve. So I think we're ready to close. If there are any more questions that keep coming, because the live will go on for some time, I think it'll be on the page, on all the pages. I will bunch up the questions and I will send them to you. And we could always send them the answers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good night, Steve. And for the rest of you here in India, create a wonderful day. Dream big. Dare to fail. Okay? And absolutely self-mastery. You started now. It's very beautiful. Right? Join us next Friday and Saturday. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye, Steve.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.